Righty, Wonder Wednesday. Welcome back to your weekly events here with us at Floxies community. I hope you're doing well wherever in the world you're joining us from. And actually, let me know in the chat if you're watching these events now live. Let me know where you're joining us from. We always want for our events to be as interactive as possible. So I'm here checking the chat that comes from the YouTube, from LinkedIn, from X. So anywhere you're joining us from, feel free to use the chat and interact with our community. And if this is your first time here, we're Floxies, an international community for women in UX UI design and Webflow development. And every week we get together here for what we like to call our Wonder Wednesdays, inviting influential guest speakers from either the design or the Webflow space. And so we use a metaverse to host our events. Here it is. What you can see right now is our co-working space. Where we also host focus hours for our community to connect and hang out. And so, without further ado, let me get into the space. As you can see, we have all our Floxies here. So, hello everyone, happy Wonder Wednesday. I hope everyone's doing well. Let me see if I can walk through the chairs. Fantastic. It's great to see so many people here. And most importantly, as well, it's great to see you here back with us, Anshul, our guest speaker of today. How are you, Anshul?
I'm fantastic. Really looking forward to this session.
It's so great to have you back. You know, we had a lot of fun with you the first time you came. You were talking about design systems, I think, for our design system series. And so I've been following your work for a long time. So for those of you who don't know, Anshul is the co-founder at Minimal Tweaks, and he's an absolute star when it comes to design and especially automation and animation as well. So today we're going to be looking into how to create and use your LottieFiles inside of Figma. And if you haven't seen his work, I highly recommend going and checking it out because I didn't think that it would be possible to almost create a motion design inside of Figma. I've always used it, for design reason and prototyping, minimal things. But if you look at what Anshul is capable of doing, is nothing short of inspiring. So I'm gonna stop blabbing here and let you get started, Anshul.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. I'll probably skip my introduction, which I prepared. I thought of speaking about it, but I'll skip that one, and I'll directly jump into what we are going to talk about today. Uh, Before we even get into Lottie files, I just wanted to give you some context why we are even having this. What's the need of Lottie file? Where does it come in the whole process of design and development? So earlier, what used to be the process was quite lengthy. You used to brainstorm. You used to create the wireframes. Then you get the UI done. You maybe bring in more people in on board for illustration, for asset designing, for motion graphics. Then you kind of combine and collaborate with all of them and pass those stuff to the developer. There will be a lot of back and forth because developers generally don't get the design as much as designer or motion designer or any sort of other designer do, right? Now, as we are moving forward, technology has kind of evolved a lot, right? And similarly, Lottifile is one piece of it, which actually helps you automate things, which actually helps you in sharing the files with the developer quite easily, right? Apart from this Lottifile, there are a couple of other things as well that came into the whole process and kind of shortened the process and made it more effective. Specifically talking about Lottie Files is a JSON based animation. When we say JSON based animation, you could think of it as SVG. SVG is scalable vector graphic. That's a static version, right? When you kind of code a static image, that's SVG. When you kind of code the animated frames or screens, that is basically JSON, and that is basically the Lottie files, right? Uh, it has both has the same property. SVG is scalable vector graphic, irrespective of whatever size you created. You can scale it as much as you can, 1x, 2x, without getting pixelated because there is no pixel in it, right? It is a pure code which is written and which is defining that it will look like in certain fashion. Same goes with the Lottie file as well. There is no as such a dimension attached to it. You can scale it as much as you want because there is code attached to it. The major difference between LottieFile SVG and any other format is like LottieFile and SVGs are basically defined by uh, I think yeah, those are defined by anchors and curves, right? Whereas other things like PNGs, GIFs, JPGs, these are defined by pixels, right? That's why when you kind of enlarge GIF and JPGs, they get pixelated. Whereas Lottie files and SVGs, they don't get pixelated. So Lottie file is just a animated version of SVGs. SVGs are the static version of your images, right? And so we covered that Lottie files have are JSON based animation. That is the coded version. You can enlarge it, downsize it without losing the quality of it. You can use it on multiple platforms. Platform could be you are using it on the website, you are using on the mobile app, you are using it on the ebook. Wherever you want to, you can actually use it similarly as the SVG, right? It is interactive. You can attach some triggers to it. Let's suppose if you're clicking on it, some animation will happen. If you're scrolling, some animation will happen. Mouse is entering particular frame, then animation will happen. So these would be different triggers, right? When you are not defining pixels, you are defining code, automatically the size of the whole uh, asset goes down by, I would say, 99%, right? If your GIF is somewhere around 900 kbs, your Lottie file or JSON format would be around 9 or maybe 10 kbs. And these are some big advantages of Lottie files, right? Lottie files definitely have the advantages as a format itself, but Lottie files has done an incredible job in developing such platforms which kind of automate the whole process, which kind of make the whole process easier, right? Like I mentioned, the handoff process that is gone. Instead of sharing one file to each developer, we can just share a link and they can get all the Lottie files from there and they can even use it on the development side. So we'll definitely talk about how platform has grown, what has gone, what plugin Figma plugin we got from Lottie Files and how we can use it. And
Can I stop you there one
yeah,
second, Anshul? Because we were actually chatting about. I have two things to say to you. One of them is, can you check you're only using or you're using the right microphone that you wanted to use? Because there's a little bit of a. You sound like a fantastic AI right now,
oh,
in
that's good
my
now, man.
in my head. So maybe because you had two avatars, maybe you're using the voice on both of them. Just make sure you only use one. And the second thing is, we were chatting about Lottie files, because it was a massive thing. If you think about a year ago, maybe everyone was talking about Lottie files, everyone was using them, and then I wonder if when kind of more prototyping tools came along, I don't know, think about Webflow, Framer, you name it. I wonder if designers then shifted to those sort of tools to kind of develop and show prototypes rather than using Lottie files. And I wanted to hear what you think. And it's great to see that the company and the tool keeps upgrading and staying relevant. But I wonder if you noticed a similar path as well.
So definitely, like let me just check my AirPods first.
Yeah. You can also see in Gather, and you have a little microphone
Mhm.
icon, and you can choose the mic that you're talking from.
Okay, got it.
Oh, I think I can hear it really well now.
Is it better now?
Much better. High
Perfect, perfect,
high
perfect,
quality better.
perfect. Do you want me to go through everything once again?
No, 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 it's fine. I mean, I think everyone else could understand really well, but just now we can hear you a lot better now.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, talking about the trend in the industry, right? There are multiple tool came up. One is Ripe, and you can do such a fantastic job using Ripe. Even talking about interaction,
in Webflow you have you can work upon interaction. In Framer you have interaction panel, and where you can work around the interaction. But Lottifile is more about the animation and stuff. It can interactiveness is one of its property. The size of the animation, it doesn't matter how big your animation is. I'll show you a couple of animation which you cannot achieve on whether Webflow, Framer. Rive is something that is kind of playing on to the another level, right? That is purely made for high quality animation, gaming animation, right? I couldn't recall any other platform. If you could let me know, like I can definitely talk about that. There is Spline for 3D and 3D animation. There is Rive that we use for very complex animation. If you talk about the interaction, Framer and Webflow, they have their native properties and native capabilities of getting basic things done, right? But when you talk about LottieFiles is something I would say that sit in between, right? It's not way too complex like Rive. It's not way too naive like Webflow and Framer, and that's where LottieFile comes in. Recently, we are working on a client, and they specifically asked for Lottie files. The sole reason was they wanted their product to be explained in a fashion where it looks good, where it has a tiny size, where they have flexibility to multiple things without increasing the complexity. When complexity increases, the time and effort increases. They also have that kind of constraint that we really don't want to put a lot of time, but if we really want to do a clean, clear, crisp, and to the point animation, and you cannot achieve that in Webflow Framer. And like I would say, Rive is still something uh, more complex platform to choose for this kind of problem statement. And LottieFile is the best option to go ahead and maybe create something of that sort. Obviously, I cannot walk you through that particular client project as of now. It's not live, but trust me, there is a huge market for Lottie files. If you are saying that you are not going to master Lottie file and just hop onto the most complex platform, I would not recommend that particularly. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to diving into the work that you're gonna show us because it's so brilliant. So, yeah, I would love for people to see.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so we got the features of Lottie file. We understood why we are even using Lottie files. Let's see how. Okay, my something went wrong. Okay, so let's see how we can use Lottie files, right? Before we get into how we can use, let's do a quick walkthrough how LottieFile plugin looks like in Figma. Currently, we are in this particular workshop, we are just going to talk about LottieFile plugin for Figma. LottieFile, they have their own platform where you can create, where you can edit animation, even export things, and even they have a plugin for Canva. They have plugin for After Effects. I think After Effects plugin came, the earliest plugin they came for was for the After Effects. I think I remember 3 years back when I used to work on After Effects, I got to know about LottieFiles, and there was a plugin called Body Moving. You create some animation on After Effects, a complex one or maybe a minor simple one. You can export it into LottieFile by using that particular plugin. But nowadays, actually, you don't need After Effects, neither you need that plugin. You simply need your Figma and this simple plugin. That's it. So in this plugin, we have Discover, where you can see all the files that is being uploaded by the community, and you can even use those. You can use this animation. You can use this animation just by clicking it. I'll show you how we can use them.
And we
So
actually
let's.
have some people from Lottie Files watching us now live. They're saying hello from the Maldives and Lottie Files. So, hi,
Oh,
people.
hi. I believe Yamin would be there. I was
Yeah,
chatting with
that's
him.
him. That's him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we have this Discover tab where you can look into all the cool animation created by the community for everyone else to use. And if you click on any of the animation, there's a screen which says either you can insert this as an SVG or as a GIF. So when you are when you are saying insert this as an SVG, this will kind of insert it as a static image. When you are going to insert it as a GIF, it's going to be inserted as a GIF, and you can see it on your prototypes. So from here, you are just trying to import or incorporate these animation with your design just for the review purpose. But you are not going to, you cannot actually share it directly with the developer per se, right? If I click here, we got the SVG. Even this SVG has couple of clipping path, couple of groups, which shows different uh, posture of the particular character. And similarly goes for other animation as well. You have different frames. You kind of have a clip path group, and you can see what all the frames are coming up in that particular animation. If you choose GIF, and I hope it works. For the big sizes, it doesn't work. So yeah, we got the GIF here. If we play, I'll put this in a frame. If we play it, the GIF is working on the prototype. So that's how the, this is basically for just for reviewing the process, reviewing how it's going to look in the whole design. Right now, we are just seeing the GIF in an isolation. That's why it is not making much sense, because whatever we are seeing here, it is kind of shown here itself. But when you incorporate with the design, it make much more sense. I'll quickly delete these two. You even have option of changing the background color. You can choose the transparent. You can click on this particular button to stop the loop. Like I pressed on it, I disabled it, the loop is already stopped. If I click on it, it will keep on looping. So this is just for reviewing purpose and inserting these elements onto the canvas. Then we have workspaces. Workspaces are basically, you have your, like I said, LottieFile have their platform as well, right? So in your platform, in the dashboard, you have couple of workspaces where you, it help you kind of group things properly, share those animation with the right set of people, give access them accordingly. That's why these workspaces are there. So this is the magic, like this export to Lottie, this is the literal magic when we talk about Figma plugin, Lottie's Figma plugin, right? It has one option which is disabled as of now, which says export to Lottie, and there is another option which says select prototype flow. Okay, so we got an idea, like there are two options how we can maybe create some animation using Lottie plugin from Figma. So first is auto animate single frame. So what it says is like you can animate a single frame just by clicking or selecting couple of presets from LottieFile. We'll look into it. We'll look into it. So that's one way how you can do it. Another way is like you can select multiple frames and tell LottieFile animate it yourself. That is also something that LottieFile is capable of. And the third one, and I would say the most complex one, is interactive component. I'm not sure how LottieFiles are using this term, but interactive components is a term coined by Figma itself, where you have different components, different animating components used together to create a complex animation. We'll look into all of this. Let's directly jump into auto animate single frame stuff. So these are a couple of examples put up by LottieFile itself. They have a community file, and they have a couple of options there, a couple of examples there. If time allows, we'll go through mostly all of those. But for the time being, let's see how auto animates single frame work, right? So this is just a single frame. I'll kind of bring that out of that particular auto layout. So this is a single frame which consists of three circles, right? It says vector, let's rename this. This is vector 1, this is vector 2, just for our understanding. If I click on this single frame, this export to Lottie button enables, right? Earlier it was disabled. As soon as I click on this particular frame, this kind of enables itself. And as soon as I click on that particular button, you got some options. So what is happening? LottieFile is considering this single frame and kind of automating your process in creating an animation. Don't you think that's crazy? You really don't need to do anything, and you get an animated shapes, right? And you definitely have a couple of more options. You have squash and stretch, you have rotate, you have pulse. like every preset fits for like its own use case. It's not like everything will fit for everything. It has own use case, and you need to utilize it as per your use. There is trim path. There are other things like move in, move out, and even in this you have couple of more options, zoom and fade. Like these are the preset already defined by LottieFiles, which you can keep on exploring and look out whatever you like, whatever is resonating with your particular design. But that's how you actually go ahead and use the preset that is already defined by the LottieFiles. We can even bring out couple of more options from here. Like if we see this one, and one option says trim path, right? If I click on this, now what I need to do is I need to go back. If I refreshes this, nothing's gonna work. If I again want to render this with LottieFile, I need to go back. I'll select this frame, I click on it, and bam, the animation started happening. So one thing what we can do here is trim path. So trim path is basically kind of filling the path, filling the vector path. So this is a popular concept in After Effects, where you have the offsets, where you have start and end, and you can actually add keyframes that start from this position to this position, and it will start filling it. And I think trim path, came from After Effects itself. So even if we just remove this one, and so now if you see trim path, now trim path works so beautifully. And earlier when we had the fill shape behind the frame, right? Uh, it was it was a weird animation, I would say, for a particular rectangle, because it's not a path itself; it's a closed path, right? When it's a closed path, the system is thinking, I'll start from one point, I'll kind of complete to the other. That's why it is happening that kind of a weird animation. If we see. So if you see, animation started from this anchor point and it kind of covered the whole rectangle. I don't think so we really want that. I'll kind of get away with it. I'll again go back and I'll do this. So this is kind of filling the whole animation. You can do it with any other line art kind of a icon, or you could say where you are kind of using art, line or stroke for particular what do you call it, illustrations, and there you can actually use it and it looks beautiful.
Are we gonna have a chance to see one of the things that you've done?
Yeah. So I haven't done anything around the trim path as such, but I have here like couple of complex one. So this
Yes,
is
those are the ones that I saw on LinkedIn. I was like, I need
yeah.
Anshul.
So I have even planned, we will be animating this. So this is Duolingo mascot duo, and we'll actually make them live this particular way. We'll do it for the Figma itself, and we'll again export it with the Lottie.
Awesome.
And yeah, so before that, just a couple of things. I'll quickly wrap up these uh, small nuances so that we are not missing out on anything. So like I said, this is like the single frame animation. You already have couple of presets that you can go around and you can use it, right? Again, this got the trim path one, and that's why it is kind of behaving a bit weird manner. Again, one more option we have in this one is, if you go on the settings, you get to have this layer animation. So it says sequential, it says parallel. When you use parallel, both the layers are kind of animating in a same manner or at the same time. When you say sequential, then first layer is coming first, then the second layer is coming after that. So second layer is coming after some delay. So you can even customize these kind of animations, right? You even have option of the animation speed, and I have already mentioned about the loop and the background. Okay, now let's suppose you want to share this particular animation with the developer, and you wanted to share it in the Lottie file. How you are going to export it? If I'm going to insert as GIF, it's just for my presentation purpose. It's not going to, I'll quickly save it. Yeah. So when I'm going to insert it as a GIF, right? It's just going to help me with the presentation purpose. It's not going to help me with the handoff, right? What we can do, yeah. So this is my workspace. So I got into the LottieFile app, the application I was talking about, and from here I can even download it. I can even download it. So Lottie JSON, there is dot Lottie. If you have the premium account, you can even go for the optimized Lottie, optimized dot Lottie. And if you see the size, right, it says 3 KB, 1 KB, 1.3 KB. So the file is getting smaller as you get the premium version. So you can even download this and share this particular file with the developer, or you can just share or give the access of this particular workspace with your developer. They can uh, get this use this on their own, right? So that's how you actually export and share it with the developer. Okay, moving on, we have an option of multi-frame we talked about. So we have two different frames. This is, I'll kind of bring it outside the bigger frame. I'll even ungroup it. Okay, so we have this frame. It says within this we have circle, and within this we have circle, right? It's crucial that the sequencing of the layer is same. The naming of layer is right. If you are disrupting with the names, it would be hard for the plugin and even for the Figma to understand what you are trying to say. Let's suppose if we have this and we says this is a circle, right? And first let's see how it's going to behave if we are not going to. So what I have done, I've increased the size of all of these circles into a bigger one. Even if we are not kind of attaching any connection or doing any kind of prototyping on Figma, I can still ask Lottie to animate it. I'll select these both frames. So I'm selecting multiple frames. I'll press export, and this is something what is happening. And this is happening just because of couple of things. Let's see what we have done wrong over here. I'll quickly delete it. I'll increase the size. Now let's see if this works. Now it started working, right? So what happens is, like when you kind of disrupt the sequence, when you kind of rename the layers, the the system cannot understand what you are trying to say. So what is happening right now, we kind of duplicated this whole thing and we kind of increase the size. Now system knows that this circle is going to get bigger by this circle is going to get bigger by this, and this circle is going to get bigger by this. And
Yeah.
that's how everything is connected. And this is the most crucial thing. And this is how, like I said, we have been working on a particular project recently, and this is the common mistake my team is actually hustling with, right? And I believe most of the complex animation and decent animation Lottie can take care of it. It's just that we need to be very sure about its limitation, and we need to understand how basically that particular plugin works, right? So this is how you actually go about choosing the uh,
Yeah,
multi-frames.
and just Anshul, just a second, because that might have been a little bit fast. So basically, what happened here? So first, Anshul changed the name of one of the circles, the light purple one on the left, into circle, as you can see from his navigation, and then he deleted the second frame, went back to the first and duplicated that frame, which means the second one would then now have the word circle instead of vector as well, and that made them match, and that's why the animation is not working. Yeah.
Shall I move forward?
Sure. Sure.
Perfect, perfect. One more thing which we recently realized happens in Lottie, that let's suppose we have this circle this big. This frame is this big, but it is not clipping the any element of it. I'll check that off. Now, when I go back and do export, this is kind of getting clipped. Though the circle is not at all clipping any kind of content. So this was something that we realized when we tried couple of animation. Then we figure out this is something happening because of this bounding box. Though it in Figma it is not clipping, but in Lottie it is treating at it's going to clip as it is going beyond the parent, right? Beyond the bounding box of the parent, right? So this is something that we like. These are the small minor things. I'm not sure if anyone is putting it out there. These things will you will understand when you will start experimenting, when you will start play around with it. Then you will kind of get good hang of it, how things are functioning when you're using a particular plugin, right? So yeah, this is something very weird for me because it's not happening on the bottom right and bottom, where else in the left and the top it's kind of getting cropped. So
Mm.
again, unusual stuff, but we can keep a note of it and maybe work around it whenever we are working on this particular animation. Okay, so we done with without prototyping connection. We are getting the animation done, frame and group limitation. Even this sort of things happen if we have right now we have frame. Let's suppose we have group, and I'll even group this one. I'll copy its name and paste it here. I'll kind of ungroup this. I'll again ungroup this. And even if you see, if I have a stroke outside, which is the which is outside of this particular group, right? So again, this will also get cropped. I'll copy this property. I'll paste it here. Again, I'll go back and do this. Again, that is also getting cropped because though we don't have any kind of clip content capability of a group, but Lottie in itself is understanding that if something is out of the group bounding box, it needs to be cropped. Okay, so this is something very weird, I would say, but uh,
It's
if
a
we know
good
it,
thing
we
we
can.
have the Lottie team watching us, so maybe they can fix that.
Yeah, they will. They will. They have done a brilliant job. Trust me. Like earlier when we started with it, there were a lot of things that were not working. But today we are literally working out and working with a couple of our clients, and trust me, it is helping us big time.
It's so
So
powerful, isn't
big
it?
kudos to you.
Absolutely.
It's a lot more powerful than we actually realize. Okay, so now we really don't have any connection in between. I'll quickly go back and remove these things. So now if you, let's suppose you want to alter the speed of the animation, you quickly go and connect a connection from hotspot to destination. You will do the same, just you want to create the loop. Eventually LottieFile will create the loop even if you connect the second one or not. It's just about that you want to have the some kind of animation delay or duration of that transition. You really don't need to worry about like what the trigger would be. LottieFile will kind of automatically put it into a delay form. Let's suppose I make it 600. And now what I'll do, I can even go and choose export to Lottie, or I can even go and choose flow one. So now the speed has changed, right? It kind of it got a bit breathing animation, right? Like you must have seen on Headspace application. Let's go back. We can even have this, and same is happening with it. So basically, export to Lottie is also considering the prototype properties which you have incorporated into this connection. Okay, perfect. So till now, I think everything is clear. Beyond this, things going to get a bit complex.
Nice.
Any question would love to answer those.
Oh, yeah, sure. Do we have any questions so far? I could see that people were really excited in the chat. I can see like comments like insane. This is very cool. We do have a question in the chat from Alice. Do you have to export the animation and import it again to be able to review it in the prototype in Figma?
You really don't need to. Like, let's suppose if you delete it, then you can import it from here. You can import Lottie, then you can import just as a GIF, right? You won't be able to edit, I believe. We haven't imported it, but you can import the Lottie, you can import the GIF on the prototype, and you can review it on the design itself. But I'm not sure if you can edit it.
Mm-hmm.
Though we haven't actually deleted anything on from our canvas. Like if you see our canvas, it's like a big madhouse. Like we have all the clutter presented all over the space. I know we as a designer should be keeping things well aligned and space, but like I know we don't speak this a lot, but I think everyone's workspace is as cluttered as we can imagine. So that's the case with us as well, even with the team of 5 or 6.
Show me your drafts. Show me your Figma drafts and I'll tell you who you are.
Okay.
Awesome. I think we
Moving on.
can, yeah, we can carry on and we can have some time for Q&A after the presentation as well.
Sure. So moving on, we have some interactive components. Like I mentioned, interactive components. I'll quickly go down to this one and show you like how this works. So this is a basically a decay motion animation created on Figma itself. So this is it, and this is kind of using a lot of interactive components which we can see right here. So this is a component set where we have 4 variants, where we have designer client, another frame we have client punching designer, third frame is designer kind of reacting to it, and the fourth one is kind of the rest position, right? So this is something that is a component set with a set of multiple variants. The complex part were these animations, basically these hands animation. So these are different component sets, and we have incorporated all these component sets. So they already have their prototyping done. So what is happening, if you see, just if I want to see just this one, so this is how the animation is working, right? This is hand is working. Same goes with every other. Even if you want to see this is another thing that is working. So clock is kind of revolving, moving in the clockwise direction, and we kind of brought every other component into this particular component and made everything work. This is what interactive component is basically. Okay. And this is possible in Figma, in LottieFiles plugin as well. Even if we see there are a couple of glitches, I would say, but it really does a good job. Okay, finger crossed. Let's see how it works. So it works, I would say 19% perfectly fine. There are a couple of things like hand is kind of moved up. Like I'm sure there would be fixes about for this. uh, I'm anticipating it is because like I have used couple of effects on that particular thing, and because of which Lottie cannot actually comprehend particularly those things. Rest everything else is working perfectly fine. Even the clock, the punches, the mask is working perfectly fine. It's just the interactive component that is kind of moved here and there. But again, this is the 90% of job done. Earlier, if I used to get this animation on my website, I must have downloaded it as an MP4. I would have uploaded it on the website. It would take me around 2 to 3 KBs, or sorry, MBs to be on there, and it will significantly increase my loading time. And if someone is opening from a low network area, they might not able to see it. Those were the issues, right? But I think we can definitely fix this, and we can get this up on the website, and it won't take more than 50 KBs, right? So that's the plus point of Lottie. So this is one interactive component. If we see one on the other hand, this is teamwork animation that I worked upon. I keep on posting when we post about hiring of the jobs on LinkedIn. If we see this, so this is this animation, how things are working, right? One moves to the left, then the guy kind of comes forward. In this, I have realized one thing. Okay, we'll select teamwork animation. It takes some time for the rendering. So if you see, left one is working perfectly fine. Right one is not working that great. Kind of couple of things are messing up. And that is because I'll even walk you through what's wrong with it. So if you see this particular shape, this is the front leg, and this front leg of the other guy with the red pant is kind of messing up, right? So this has a property of 0 degree rotation. What I did, instead of creating the right one from scratch, I kind of flipped the whole guy. And when I flipped the whole guy, then the Lottie file got confused how we need to actually play around with this particular shape, because it's all about shapes and properties and details attached to it. Even if you see this guy has 180 degree as a rotation where it should be 0. Are you getting my point? So this has 0 when it's in the I would say rest position. When this one is in the rest position, it has 180 degree, and that's why it is kind of flipping altogether. So we need to be very much aware about the properties we are kind of using, the numbers that we are kind of using when we are working around these kind of animation. Instead of just uh, flipping it horizontally, we need to create it from scratch. Or what we need to do is we can even go ahead and change it to 0. If you're changing it to 0, something is getting wrong. And okay, I think there is a mask. Yeah, there is a mask. Something is getting wrong. Why? Because the leg is in kind of a skewed manner, right? But I messed it up. Okay, so something is getting wrong because it is kind of the shape of the legs are not proper rectangle, right? It is kind of skewed. That's why things are getting a bit messed up. So we need to create it from scratch so that it can work perfectly fine. Though it works fine in the Figma, but you cannot do much about, you cannot export it from Figma. That's the drawback of creating such animation on Figma.
I'm sure we have a comment from Assad from LinkedIn. He says, recently I've experienced one thing. I made an animation with 3 artboards and I saved it on Lottie's dashboard. But when I downloaded the JSON, it was around 765 kilobytes, and the premium one was around 500 kilobytes. It was too big for an app. And then I asked the animator to make it on After Effects. And when he did it and exported the JSON, the size was only 56 kilobytes. I don't know why, but the size of JSON needs to be fixed. Yeah.
Okay, we haven't faced anything of that sort. Like it totally depends upon the size of the animation, the kind of complexity of the animation, even if you're using images. Like I said, these JSON are the coded version of your animation. And animation, if it is a vector animation, it is basically, it will consist of lines and curves, right? But it has, if it has an image, it will add that whole image to the particular code, and it will kind of have a source attached to it that this image is kind of getting from that could be one reason. I'm not sure how it is getting better from getting it done from After Effects. It could be because of maybe with less attributes, less properties, we are getting it uh, getting the animation possible on After Effects than on Figma. So there could be multiple reasons. But like I said, I haven't experienced anything of that sort. Even I'll show you this animation. I'll quickly go ahead and is this a frame? Yeah. Oh, this is okay. If I show you this particular animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We created it. So this is basically just a way of telling that your phone is ringing. Someone Yuvraj Singh is calling you. You can pick up the call, right? This is we have done on Figma itself. We exported out of Figma itself through Lottie, and I think the size was somewhere around 12 or 15 kbs, right? Like there's nothing much, and but this image that is kind of coming up, that is a source that is attached to that particular code, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the only thing that is kind of consuming the whole uh, most of the size. Rest, I think it's not going to take much of the size. And like I said, it was around 12 to 15 kb itself, and it was kind of very lightweight for the website. So yeah, I think this we can even see it on LottieFile. It works perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, I okay, it's not.
And anyway, I shared your LinkedIn profile as well in the chat. So if people have, any other things or questions in regards to their projects, they can send a connection request.
So there you can see it, like it's working perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So more or less, if you know the basic of Figma prototyping, you can achieve the Lottie animation easily. Uh, we'll quickly, I think we'll take just 2 minutes and quickly go through what are the supported features as of now,
Mm-hmm.
and what, like we even talked about the layer sequencing. There should be proper sequencing. We should not be changing the sequence of the layer in different frames. It should be the same. If we are using different shape and if we want to transform them, the naming should be the same. We cannot have circle 1 and circle 2 connected with each other in different frames. It should be circle 1 and it should be circle 1 on the second frame as well, right? Avoid deleting layers. This is something suggested by LottieFiles itself. We tried deleting, it worked fine, but in some cases it doesn't. So if you don't want something on your second frame to be there, either reduce its opacity or maybe move it out of the particular frame so that it is not being seen, right? Just don't delete it as such. And yeah, let's quickly see what are the supported features. There are a couple of supported features that came in really, that we can use gradients with the recent updates. We can even use the interactive components. We'll quickly go down and see. So we can use rectangles, we can use lines. So it says arrows supported on single frame presets only, not supported on prototypes. So single frame are the ones which we experience here, right? So these are the single frames one. And
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about prototype, these are the prototype one. When you already defined a prototype in Figma itself, and Lottie is kind of rendering it and getting it out of the Figma. So arrows don't work on the prototypes, and but it does work on the single frames. Ellipse does work everywhere. Polygon, star, images supported as image layer, not as a layer fill, not supported on single frame, and like just the vice versa of the arrow. Pen tool, pencil, text is something that came in new. Earlier, we used to kind of flatten the text, then use it in the Lottie animation. But text is something that came in new, and it is working again perfectly fine with all the animation. Like even you can see we had a bit of text over here itself. We have this Yuvraj Singh and it's working perfectly fine, right? Auto layout does work well. Frame and nested. Earlier, what we used to have just one single frame under which we used to have all the layers. Instead of grouping and framing, we used to have all the layers. And um, with the new update, you can frame, you can even have the group, and you can even have the nested frames. Components started working. That's why we had interactive component. So more or less, whatever the basic or I would say the primitive of Figma. It's kind of supported with Lottie. Then you have Union, other Boolean groups. Then you can actually rotate. It also has a tip for you guys. Like for 360 rotation, use 179.9 or minus 179.9. The only reason why it is mentioned over here, because Figma or maybe even I believe Lottie doesn't understand when you write 180, it doesn't get to know like whether it needs to go from the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. That's why when you present 179, it will take the clockwise, minus 179, it will take the
Hmm.
clockwise direction. Layer blend mode is not supported. Let's see what is not supported. Angular gradient, diamond, images are supported though. Videos, videos are not supported. Let's go down. I think this is for the strokes. These things are not supported. Effects are not supported majorly. And if you go down, these are the acceleration and de-acceleration of the animation that is not supported.
I
So
think
we
you're
only have.
showing a different tab because we can still see your Figma.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
really sorry.
No, no
I'm
worries, no
actually showing
worries.
I'm actually showing the different screen. Nonetheless, I'll share this in the chat itself. You
Yeah.
guys can go through it. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we can check out the supported features.
Yeah, I believe they will be having. Okay, so sorry for that.
No worries.
Okay, so here is the link. Here you can see the supported feature.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with the help of this, you will understand what will work, what won't work in the whole Figma to Lottie plugin.
Brilliant.
So
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
we missed on doing the Duolingo one.
Yes, that's the one that
uh,
I'm looking forward to. Let's get, some hands
let's
on.
quickly do it. Let's quickly do it. Okay, so this is a frame. I've already got this vector from Duolingo website. If we see, we have Duo is our mascot. It has his hands over here. It says vector. Let's say hand right and left.
Did
Naming
you
is important.
create this with the pen tool, or how did you get
No.
this? Mm.
So I got this from Duolingo website. I got
Okay.
this asset. So I got the Duo from the Duolingo website. I created these weights and I even created the band just to give some sporty look.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I got this particular illustration from Duolingo website. And so yeah, this is a band. I've already defined it. We have Duo, we have weights, we have bar that is connecting the weights, we have hand left, hand right, we have some shadows just to give an impression of the floor, we have right leg, and we have the left leg. Okay, so it will be a very simple animation, just making it look like that Duo is kind of lifting the weight. So what we'll do, we'll kind of take I'll select bar, Duo, even band. I'll even take the hands up. I'll kind of, take them up. I can even take the weights and these things up a bit, right? I can bring hands closer, sorry, leg closer so that it looks like it is lifting with the pressure. I think I even added some, yeah, and we can give it some expression as well, right? That it is kind of putting some power. Let's see. So like I said, we don't even need to connect it with the prototyping. We can directly go here, and I believe it will work. I haven't tested it. So yeah, it works
Nice. Look
perfectly
at
fine.
that.
So if you want to speed it up, then I think we really need to connect it with the prototyping, right? Let's do that. Let's add some easing to it. It will look more natural, I guess. And let's see now how it goes.
Nice.
What one more thing what we can do? I think we can go down the size. 650 by 650. Let's go ahead and make it 650 by 650. So yeah, that's how easy it is. And now you can just with the 2 clicks you can get the lottie of it, and you can import it on your website, app, wherever you want.
That's so cool, and surely so fantastic to see. I can see here in the chat as well. Moon Seeds says, "I'm so excited just playing with my first custom animation in Figma. I had no idea this was possible. So cool to see. Thank you so much for showing us. I knew you're the master of animation in Figma. Every time you share a post with one of them, I'm like, how does he do it? And now we had the chance to see it. So that's really cool. Um, that's how Duo is so bootylicious. So cool. All right. Are you happy to start a quick Q&A with the community?
Sure, would love to.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. All right, let's open up the space. I can see more people have joined us here. So, girls at Floxies, as per usual, if you have a question, use the emojis that you can see underneath, and you can raise your hand. You can put your hand up like that, and I'll call out your name. Um, and I can see also people that are watching us live. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and I'll make sure I'll get to as many of those as possible. But amazing. And I also have some questions here from our form, just in case. All right. Do we have any questions here from anyone in the community before I go ahead and check the form? Let's see. All right. Well, everyone is still under the magic of animation. All right. Great presentation, Anshul. Thank you so much, says Martina. Bye, Martina. Thank you so much. Let me get the questions from our form. Here we go. So, a question from Melissa. Do Lottie animations impact the performance of loading time of a website?
Yeah, it does. So there are multiple ways how you can save from asset impacting your loading time by lazy load and stuff like that, but it does. So let's suppose if you created some asset and it is not showing up in, let's suppose, the first couple of seconds, what's the point of having those things, right? Even if you kind of add those techniques where it is kind of loaded in the background and user not able to see it at the uh, uh, first fold or maybe first insight, I don't think so it will add value to the user. So it definitely does a lot of impact.
Thank you for that. Another question from Ikra. Um, how do you know when the animation is needed? So I guess this is more of a design choice. When do you know an animation is needed in your design?
Personally, animation is needed everywhere, frankly speaking. Like, instead of having just a static thing, if I can create a quick 3-second animation which increases the interactivity, which kind of attracts the attention also. Like, let's suppose, even if I show you an image to you, and if I show you something moving to you, you will be always be attracted towards the moving stuff. So I think there's no single rule to it, but I feel if we have the animation, bit of more animation in the website or in the application, it eventually increases the experience of the user.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Let me see. We have something in the chat here. Animation is needed everywhere. Yes, Irina, it is. All right. Okay, so if you wished for a feature, um, for a new feature coming up with LottieFiles, what would that be?
Uh, I think Lottie actually got everything done. There are a couple of minor bugs. I don't think that it's gonna take them any much time. They have already covered each and everything.
This is your chance, Anshul, because they're watching. What would you like from them?
Like I can even have a word with Yamin afterwards. But again, like I have pretty much they have covered everything. I won't lie. I'm more than happy to actually experience all of this within Figma. Like I really don't need to go and open After Effects or any other platform to get any of my animation exported. I think there are a couple of things which even they mentioned that under their supported features, there are a couple of things are missing. I think once everything is covered, I think it would be the best plugin to use. Maybe it will. It has already disrupted the motion design industry, and if we have all the features which are not supported yet, I think that would be the best thing to have.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I guess that is all the questions we have, unless anyone here has got a burning last minute question. But if not, I'm sure this was really great, super inspiring. I knew that when it came to animation, I knew where to go. It was so nice to have you here with us again, and I hope again I hope this is not our last, and I'm sure it won't be our last event together because it's always been such a pleasure, and we love learning from you. So yeah, it's fantastic to kick off the new year with another event with you.
Thank you so much, Claudia, for having me. Definitely, it's not going to be the last one. We'll keep on engaging every now and then. I really love interacting with you guys and coming on. Like, you are the only community who asked me to, hassle with this gather stuff. Everyone else kind of help me with just a Zoom call. But again, it's a good thing. I always get to learn something new when I come on this particular gather platform, and it's always lovely to be here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you so
any day I can take you on a tour. I can show you the office, another day.
much.
Very
Sure, sure,
happy
sure.
to. All right. Well, everyone here is very excited. I'm sure that as soon as we log off, everyone's going to try LottieFiles with their Figma, and so maybe I can send you some of our work for you to see.
Sure. Just couple of news. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully, I'll be having more workshop in the future. I think by the end of this month and the starting of next uh, month, in the first week of the next month, I would love you all to join that particular workshop. I have even shared my this DK motion animation on Figma community. Feel free to use that. You will definitely get to learn a couple of hacks here and there. So yeah, these two things would be are something that I really wanted to share with everyone within the community.
Yeah, we would love to. Send me the links on LinkedIn and I'll share them
Sure,
with the community.
sure, I'll do that.
All right, everyone. Well, then this is it for today. If you want to support the community, please do like and subscribe to this channel or join the community. It's free and it's fun. And yeah, I will see you next week, next Wednesday. And sure, I will see you around in the virtual space. And thank you
Sure,
so much again for being here. Have a great week, everyone.
my pleasure. Thank you
Bye.
everyone. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.